Hello, hello. Welcome to another video of Neutral and Affordable. I got you. So this palette is from Makeup Revolution, and this is another case of Tati made me buy it. I saw this in a video from Tati a while ago, and I haven't been able to take this palette out of my head. I don't understand why. This usually isn't the kind of color story that I go for, but I was like, I don't know, there's something about it. So this is supposed to be a dupe for the, I believe it's a Patrick Ta palette. I've never tried Patrick Ta, so I can't tell you how good of a dupe this is. What I can tell you is that Tati did say this was a very good dupe of that palette. I would consider this personally a neutral palette. There's a lot of browns, some that are a little bit more darker leaning, maybe a little bit more like gold or orange leaning, warm leaning. But I think overall I would consider this a warm palette. So this palette is from Makeup Revolution. It is called the True Icon Bronze Shadow Palette. It is a retail price $12. $12 for 12 shades. I think that's quite an amazing deal. That's $1 a shade. Now, thankfully for me, I purchased my palette on Black Friday, and I was able to get my palette for $7.80. So what is that, like 50 cents a shade now? Something like that. This is the way it comes. It doesn't come in any plastic or any box. It is super shiny. You can see there, Makeup Revolution. It has information here in the back and all of that. It's just all the information there on the back. And I gotta say, I feel like this palette did, it did persuade me. I'm a bit surprised, but I feel like this palette did persuade me. When I first tried it, I was like, I was right, this palette's not for me, neutrals are not for me, I don't think this isn't gonna work. I think overall the mattes are all pretty decently fine. I don't remember having any real issue with a matte. That feels really soft. I think I'm not really much to say about the mattes. I feel like the mattes are kind of probably what you expect them to be. I didn't find them incredibly amazing, but it's a $12 palette, an $8 palette for me. I think this is good. I think this is fine. No problem with this. This is pretty typical of what I expected. It did what I needed it to do, and that's great. My persuasion came, of course, if you've seen this channel before, my persuasion came from these shimmers. The shimmers is what really surprised me there. For me, personally, I think that the better formula for these shimmers is something more like this shade right here. I wish the formula was a bit more like this. It's a lot smoother application. It's more kind of like metallic, and I like that application. I could pick this up with a brush. Now there are other shades in here where I was not able to pick up with a blush. For example, this shade, that was the first shade that I tried, and it was giving me such an issue. I could not pick up this shade with my brush. I had to pick up the shade with my finger, and it wasn't really sparkly. I was kind of like, this doesn't really do it for me. It's very, very light. I'll add a little bit more. Like, can you see? I mean, obviously that's darker, but I feel like you can see that there's a difference in formula. Okay, so I was not impressed. The reason why I'm keeping this palette is mostly because of these two shades right here. These two shades right here. So this shade, I just did a review of the Huda Beauty Creamy Obsessions palette, and there was a shade in there that I absolutely loved, and I hated that I had to give it away. These feel so soft. But these are very, what's the word, like, crummy. Not crummy as in, like, bad, but, like, it's, what's the word to describe it? It comes up in, like, flakes. It's flaky. It's very flaky. That's the word I want to use. It's a very flaky product. And this one is like a duochrome because it changes color, and I was shook, and I was not expecting that. But it is very flaky. It's a bit of fallout, but so pretty on the eye. So super shiny and wet. And then this one, just this shade right here, reminded me of the shade that I just gave up. The palette that I just gave up from Huda Beauty, the Obsessions. It was giving me that same kind of super wet, sparkly kind of feel. And I love that. That is so pretty. I love how super, super shiny those shades are. And for that reason, I will be keeping the palette. I do wish, however, even though I love these shades, if the formula was a lot less flaky. I think same thing with these two. pretty much these three I had to apply with a finger, and then these I was able to apply with a brush, because these two I feel like you can tell are different formula versus this very flaky formula, and then this one you can tell is almost like just like panned. It's like dry. It's a lot drier, this shade, than the other ones. And apart from that, we also have two creams in here. I've left the little flap there. It's just a little piece of plastic. It's not an actual flap, but I've left it just so my shades last a little longer and don't dry out. So this is just a little plastic flap that's, you can rip it off if you want. I don't want to. So I just want to show y'all how creamy this is. So I'm just going to take my brush in here, and that is just the lightest, hopefully I caught that on camera, the lightest little touch. And now, just from that, I got so much product, and I could keep going if I wanted to. I don't want to do my whole arm though. Just from that, I was able to get so much product. Like, these are so creamy, so pigmented, very comfortable. I didn't have any reaction to this product at all, which I'm very happy about. But you can get so much product out of the cream. So you can see here I'm kind of cleaning off my brush now, but look at the initial, the second, and the third. So much product just out of that one little dab. I barely touched it. You barely touch these creams and you get so much color out of it. I have to absolutely recommend this palette. This is kind of insane, and it really persuaded me, which is something not a lot of palettes do, especially neutral palettes. I don't consider myself a neutral palette girl. But when I saw that my subscribers were interested in buying neutral palettes for themselves and were interested in seeing more affordable options on my channel, I was like, I know I just bought this, but the time to take it out is now. This will make such a pretty makeup look for Valentine's Day. That's really also why I pulled it out. I looked at this, I'm like, this just feels so romantic. It feels extremely romantic, and I think such a great palette for Valentine's Day. Even at $12, I would still recommend this at full retail price. I honestly am really happy that they haven't gotten rid of it yet, but I love this. This is such a pretty palette. So fun, super shimmery. This is going to be some of y'all's everyday.